I hope we're doing good. Today's video is going to be a homeschooling video. Back the camera just a little bit there. I am going to talk about, if you didn't know, excuse me, if you didn't know, I homeschool with their mom's help. My grandsons, Tobias and Grayson. Tobias is 7. He is autistic. He has some delays and some sensory processing and I can't remember what else, but he has some things going on. And we tried public school for him and it just didn't work out well. Excuse me, I thought I got all that out before I started this video. Anyway, and then my grandson Grayson, he is 4. He did do some preschool. It again didn't work out for him. He also has a few things going on with him. We're not sure yet quite exactly what those things are. He has a gene that mimics autism. And so it's challenging in some ways with him to get him to do things, and he's also delayed a little. Both of them wonderful boys, love them to death. Public school just wasn't their jam. So we are homeschooling them right now. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they come to me, and I have a whole curriculum that we follow, and other things. I don't just follow one curriculum. I shouldn't have said that because that is not true. We kind of do a mixture of things. But anyway, and then on Thursday, their mama takes over and she does a day of school with them. Kind of concreting the things that we've went over during the week or what we're working on. So that's how we kind of been tag teaming it lately. And so what I wanted to come at is, so we're going to talk some special needs homeschooling. I didn't know if I could do it. I homeschooled my 3 children, and we did absolutely fine. But special needs, you know, I was just like, I didn't know if I could be there for the needs that he had. I didn't know. I just didn't know. Did some research, started looking into things and other families who are homeschooling their special needs children. I found out that we can get therapy services, you know, like outside of the school and stuff. Mom has been trying stuff too with therapy services in the home and then outside the home. Yeah, so that's where they are on that, and that's why we're homeschooling them. We wanted to homeschool them like before they were even born. We had talked about Mom is Megan, so Megan and I had talked about before. She asked me before if, you know, I would help her homeschool the, you know, any children she had, and I was like, of course I will. I'll do anything I can. But then when we found out that Tobias had autism, I was just so unsure of myself, but it ends up that we are the best teachers for him. He is learning a lot. He is learning and doing, you know, leaps and bounds here. But so we did preschool with him. We homeschooled preschool. He went to a preschool, they moved districts, we homeschooled for the rest of preschool, and it also ended up being right after the pandemic that they moved and we started homeschooling preschool. Then he went into kindergarten, and Tobias did, and that just was a mess. That was just a total mess. I actually have videos talking more into it, and if I can remember, I'm not good at remembering, I will try to link the I know I have one good video to link below explaining more about why we pulled him out. But that was a mess. So we decided to homeschool kindergarten last year, and it went great. He did, like, I had this little kind of like checklist to kind of checklist what kindergarteners were doing, and though kindergarten is way different than what kindergarten used to be, which makes first and second and third grade way different than what it used to be. He actually was more on, I'm getting notifications, he actually just, it's gonna rain. That's what my watch is telling me. It's gonna rain soon. It's been raining off and on all day. He actually did fine if we were back in the day, like when I went to kindergarten. Okay, I'm 47. And so that was a long time ago. And the standards were a lot lower then. And he would have aced that with flying colors. He knows his whole alphabet, the letters and the sounds. He can count to 100 with help, but it really depends with him. If he's in the mood to count, he can count up there, you know, a good ways. If he's not in the mood to count, he'll act like he can't count to 10. The boy can count to 10. He knows like number, order. He knows, you know, like just the kind of normal, easy stuff, you know, color, shapes, just those things. He can write his name. He knows how to spell his name. He knows his first and last name. Still working. His address is hard for him to get for some reason. And I just think maybe it's because I'm sorry if you hear the pacing. I have a dog who has anxiety issues. So he just paces my house pretty much all day. He has medication, it's not working. So, go lay down. Edward, go lay down. Go lay down. Yeah, he's not gonna listen to me. Anyway, so sorry about the that's my dog. Anyway, let's see. So he is having trouble, you know, like memorizing his address, and I think just because it's like so long, so we've chunked it off to where we're just trying to do this part, and then we add this part and add this part. It's just, you know, taking time. He'll get it. So what I did, so then he like graduated kindergarten, right? He met just about every requirement on there. And I know like once you, first, second, third grade especially, I think all the way up to 6th grade, kind of like you just spiral and you just add more every time you spiral in subjects like math. You know, you start out with numbers, well then you spiral, you're still doing numbers, but then you add addition, then you add this, your subtraction, then you add multiplication, you know, but you just keep doing the same thing, you just keep adding stuff to it. Same with language arts or English or whatever you want to call that. So we ordered 1st grade curriculum, and I looked at it and I was like, okay, he knows, you know, the stuff at the beginning of the lessons. Like he can totally get that. We got through a certain amount of, I don't even remember how many lessons. It wasn't a ton, but it was a certain amount, and he's doing fine with it, but he's not grasping some of the concepts. He needs more work on it. And it's stuff we touched on in kindergarten, but we didn't work a lot on in kindergarten. So what we're doing is we're calling this year transitional 1st grade, because we're homeschoolers and we can like do that, right? California has TK, which is transitional kindergarten, where they're too big for preschool, but not quite ready for kindergarten. So they call it, and then they go into kindergarten. So that's where I got the idea from. So I told his mom, if anybody asks, because they do have doctors they have to see quite often because of therapies and autism and all that stuff, and they want to know, well, how's he doing in school? So I said, well, if they ask, tell them that he was in transitional 1st grade this year. So for the rest of this year, we're backing it up. And we're going to go back to kindergarten, basically. We went ahead, I ordered so we were doing the good and the beautiful, and the way their lessons are set up, perfect for him. Short lessons, simple instruction. I really don't have to do anymore, but like when he's struggling with something, I will stop and we will do other things like visually, like I'll get a whiteboard out, or we'll get manipulatives out or something like that to help him with it, you know? I liked how you, like one lesson, you can cut it up into and do it over 3 days if you need to. And we've had to do that, and that's why we're not very far in the lessons that we're on in our first grade curriculum. So I think this is a good fit for him because the way the lessons are structured, it's just too advanced for him right now with the first grade lessons. So we're gonna back it up, and we ordered the kindergarten math and the kindergarten language arts, because that's going through, if you go on their website, The Good and the Beautiful, you can look through like their lessons. They have it free online. You can print it out for free. They're not that expensive, so it's just easier for me to order them and pay for them and not have to print them all out, because it's a lot of ink if you don't have a good economical printer. So that's what we're doing with him. We're calling it transitional first grade. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the lessons with him, and he may zoom through these lessons, and if he does, that's great. He just needs a little bit more extra instruction, basically. And so we're going to go through these lessons, and a lot of them I know we can do. He will probably fly through, because especially in the beginning, which I think though would be a great review for him. In the beginning, it's a lot of stuff he does already know. So we'll probably fly through those lessons. Those lessons will probably not take us that long. But then as it gets more into it, then me and him both have more of a structured thing to look at, so I can teach him what he needs to know. So that's what we're doing. We're also doing it with the language arts. I didn't even start the language arts with him after ordering it, because he didn't have a clue. Not saying anything mean. I've told his mom this. I'm not saying nothing mean about my grandbaby, but he just wasn't ready for that. That he didn't get it. It wasn't, he wasn't at that level yet, you know. So we're backing that up, which I think is good, because I've been working with phonics for the last through kindergarten and this year, and he's doing really good with phonics. He's also doing really good in sight reading, so some sight words. And yes, I'm doing both, and I know that I may get some comments down below. You can't do that. Yes, you can. I tried just phonics first, and he did fine with that, and he's learning and stuff. But then I also know that with his frustration levels, if he could just look at a word and know what it is, then that would be a good thing too. And you know, sight words, the, a, and you know, the easy little things, if he could just look at them and, oh yeah, the, you know, this and that. He's read his first full story, and he's almost read a second story. Real simple little stories, but still he's doing it. And so what we're doing is working with him with that. So we're going to continue with that. Plus we're going to add in the Good and the Beautiful kindergarten phonics. I think they do a lot of phonics too. And sight words actually. So we're going to add that in. And then what I'm going to do because we tried to add in science and history this year. History is way above he doesn't even grasp the concept of history yet. You know, Grayson's right along there with him too. They do not grasp that. So what I thought I would do is we will do small unit studies on science, and mostly science probably these next 2 years, for the rest of this year and next year, and maybe try to add in more history when we get to like second grade. He might understand a little more. But I will read books. Like, we read a variety of books. So I have a book right now that we're going through that I got from the library, and it's about children in different time periods. Now, they don't quite get what that is, but they're still seeing it. So I count that. I count that as history. yeah, so that's what we're doing. We mix in art, music, we mix in sensory play and STEM activities, arts and crafts. I think I said art, but arts and crafts. What else? Oh, and I was going to start them in a foreign language. And I really just thought, you know, I'll do French because, okay, hear me out, because that's what my son and me and my son did. So I kind of know a little bit, I'm not fluent, I can't really, but like speak French, but I know a little bit, you know. So I was like, well, I'll start them like with numbers, stuff like that in French, you know, to help them with their speech, because I've read several places that learning a foreign language helps children that have trouble in speech and or speaking and stuff like that. And so I thought, oh, that's what we'll do. We just really don't have a lot of time for it, but two, I don't think right now that's going to be beneficial for them. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with sign language. So I got us like some flashcards. There's all kinds of wonderful programs on YouTube for us to sit down and watch together. And I just thought, you know, at least for this year, maybe next year, we'll just focus on some sign language. I mean, that would be a great thing for them to know anyway. And then as they get like more in the second grade, I think that's when we'll start like an actual foreign language, unless I see that that's something that we want to do. Yeah, so I know, chatty video here. I've just been chatting. I need a drink. But yeah, I just reevaluating, because every once in a while we go through so much, and then I sit and I reevaluate what he got and did good, what he needs help on, where we are at. And I just saw that we're kind of stuck in a spot. We're really struggling trying to get over that hump, and I really think it's just because he's not ready for that hump yet. He's not there yet. So I think this will be a good thing. And if I see it, and this is the good thing too about it, is if I see that he totally knows a lesson, like we can do a few things and he knows it all and can tell me all this stuff and doesn't need any help with it, then we can like kind of like not have to do those parts, like, but just for review here and there. This is the great thing about homeschooling, is you get to cater to the child. Grayson right now, he is in preschool. He is in like 3-4s preschool. Next year we're gonna put him in, because he's not ready for kindergarten, and they wanted to put him in. That's one of the reasons why we kind of pulled him out too, is because they wanted to put him to kindergarten next year. He is nowhere written to, I mean, he is not ready for kindergarten. So next year we're going to put him in pre-K and then kindergarten, because I think it's not, he just needs more time to be worked with. He actually catches on a little bit faster on some things than Tobias even does, and other things he doesn't. He's delayed too. So talking about all that, whew. But anyway, that's like I think one of the best and greatest things about homeschooling is that I'm able to stop and evaluate their needs and cater to their needs, so that what good is an education if you're just trying to fly through everything? That's one thing I never understood is why do they push the kids to go through all this stuff, and then like they don't even remember it when they get out of school, for one. I don't know about this year or like the last couple years, but I think it was about before the pandemic, so we'll say 3-4 years ago, I looked up the statistics of kids who graduate who couldn't read. It was a big margin of children who graduated high school and couldn't read at a 3rd grade level. Why? Why are we doing that to these kids? That's one of the reasons why I'm focusing so heavily on, with Tobias, on reading more than anything really, because I feel that if he has a good foundation in reading, then he's going to be able to get through life pretty good, because he's going to be able to read and find things out. As he gets older, you know, we're going to teach him to research and stuff too. And of course, math is very important. I'm still working on that too. But I just think reading is fundamental. I believe reading is one of the biggest keys in education, and I believe that it's overlooked in the education system or done wrong, because we're trying to push one way on a whole classroom of kids when we could have a Tobias, or my son David. He learned to read, like, by the time he was like 4, he could read. Okay, that's great, but then if you have a Tobias and a David in the class and you're teaching them both the exact same thing, it's not serving either child. David needs, I guess, I don't know, David needed more advanced help. That's one of the reasons why I pulled him out, is so that he could read what he wanted to. Because in school, not to get off the subject, but just to make a point here, in school, David and Kit, he went to public school for 2 years, kindergarten and first grade. And my cats are in there playing. And he loved to read. That boy loved to read. And by the time he was in first grade, he was reading chapter books like Harry Potter. He liked, oh, what was some of those other ones he liked? He liked a variety. But I remember Harry Potter being one of the big ones that he liked to read. And he only read the first and second book in first grade. I didn't let him, it's not that I didn't let him go too much further. He didn't really want to go too much further, because he knew what scared him and what didn't. And I think something in the second book kind of scared him. And he's like, Mom, I don't want to read the third book right now. I want to wait till I'm older. And he did, you know, he did. But so in first grade, they had, you know, library day, and David would pick out chapter books, and he would come home and, like, I would read to him. He loved it. He would read to me. He absolutely loved going to the library and loved getting to pick out books he got from the 5th and 6th grade section, mostly the 6th grade. And about halfway through school, he came home and he was so mad, so mad. He said, Mom, look what book I got. And it was, you know, a first grade book, a very easy reader. And I said, well, I thought you liked this, I think it was like Clifford the Big Red Dog or something. I can't remember exactly, but he said, I do like it. He said, but that's not what I wanted to read. I wanted to read this one book out of the 6th grade section, and they wouldn't let me have it. I was like, why not? Why not? And he said, there's a note in my backpack, and it said that only 5th and 6th graders can get out of the 5th and 6th grade section. First grade has to only read first grade. Second grade can only read second grade. Third grade can only read third grade. And I was like, what? Why? Why would they do that? And when I called and asked the school about it, they said yes, because the first graders had no point or no reason to be reading 6th grade books when they couldn't even read them in the first place. And I said, but my son can read these books. We have some of these books here, but we don't have all of them. So, you know, he used your library to finish the series out or something. Oh, no, he cannot read that well. And it was just, it was horrible. It was horrible. So anyway, that was one of the reasons we pulled David out of school. We decided that 2nd grade, he was going to be homeschooled. Okay, I had to erase some, my memory card got full, so I had to go back and erase a few things so I could finish this video out. I had that big long rant about David and public school. Public school didn't serve any of my children well, just let me tell you that, and they did not serve my grandchildren well so far, so it's a no in our book. Anyway, special needs homeschooling, you can do it. Be encouraged, mamas, grandmas, dads, aunts, uncles, whoever you are taking care of those special needs kiddos. You can do it if that's what's in your heart and what is best for your child. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment box down below. Don't forget to follow along over on Instagram. I have my Amazing Adventures of Mom channel, which is all mom things. And I have my Homeschooling Mimi channel over on Instagram, which is all things homeschool. All right, guys, I hope to see you again real soon. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you will not miss another amazing episode. And don't forget to leave your comments down below. subscribe, because you're here watching me. Just subscribe. All right, guys, thanks a lot for sticking out with me with this big old long rant. I'll see you again next time. Bye, friends.